going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome day today. Another not so great day for Bitcoin in the crypto markets. We still have the majority of the coins in the red. Chainlink down 50%, Tezos down 7.5%, Algorand down even on some kind of positive news the other day. Now, there are some altcoins doing quite well. Omisego having a massive pump today. Actually, OMG, believe it or not, guys, that was one of the first coins I ever owned that I actually got my first 10x on. And that was when I realized, oh my goodness, this crypto place is crazy. So looks like they're also doing well today. Now, we can see, having a look at Bitcoin, we did try to retest down around that sort of $11,500 level. Now, I had spoken about a lower level I was looking at a few days ago. Do I still think Bitcoin could get down to some of those levels? Well, I want to talk about one possibility for a potential Bitcoin breakout that could be a massive fake out, but I also want to mention the fact that we could be looking for another dip down even lower, but it is going to get a little bit wild in the middle. So I'm going to get into all that today. Specifically, I also want to talk about the fact that we have Grayscale coming out basically saying, you know what, despite the short-term price action, we are seeing the interest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies right now, and they talk about some similarities of what was happening basically right around the time at the end of 2016 before the massive rally of 2017, and they're seeing a lot of those similar situations playing out again today. I also want to talk about the fact that, you know what, the stock to flow model is calling for a $288,000 Bitcoin by the next cycle, but I do want to show you one specific example of why maybe it might take a little bit longer to get there than we had originally planned. So I definitely want to go into all that today. Also discuss the fact that we have China looking like they're utilizing cryptocurrencies. So what does this mean? They're trying to actually use them to avoid the sanctions in their country. But most importantly, who made this? Which one of you made this shirt out there? K-Dub is Satoshi. I love it with the Bitcoin glasses. This is awesome. Maybe if I ever release a line of clothing, we can add this to the lineup. So it literally looks just like me. So whoever made that, pretty awesome. But we're going to get into all that today. If that sounds good to you, you know what to do. Smash the likes, get subscribed. If you want to win a Ledger Nano S, drop a comment below. We give one away every Monday. And also at the end of this video, I'm going to go into a little bit of news from one of the projects we've spoken about. And yesterday we talked about gaming and NFTs, and today I want to focus on blockchains and whether or not they actually have a good fit, potentially for things like social media networks, okay? That's later in the video. Obviously, we got to jump into the meat and potatoes first, which of course is the Bitcoin chart. Now, having a look right here, we have found support on this trend line right here. You can see we tried to wick below, and this is what I was talking about with those little wicks, how Bitcoin sometimes tries to test the bottom. Now, personally, if you see the two green sort of trend lines that I've placed here, it looks like Bitcoin, although we do have a bit of a still ascending triangle. Now, look, here's the thing. We may not fall down to this green line. There's a potential chance that Bitcoin may just be moving up again to this blue zone. We might hit some resistance here, and right around the end of this month, we could have a massive blast off all the way back up to the $12,500, $12,600 level, even higher. Okay, we could test that. However, keep in mind that these whales are not going to they're basically not going to let Bitcoin get above these levels that easy, okay? So there is that potential chance still of coming down and retesting the bottom of this wick. And this right here, this zone, that is where I personally would be looking for longing Bitcoin, okay? If Bitcoin comes down here and retests sort of this $11,300, $11,400 level, I think that is the sweet spot. Right now, you're kind of playing with fire in the middle. So obviously, don't take any financial advice from me, but that's just what I'm looking at. I could be totally wrong. I could totally miss out on this, and we could just instantly pump back to 12K. But I think there could be one more potential fake out dump to the downside before then breaking that level. Now, you could see right here on CME futures, we talked about the ascending broadening wedge, and we've already had that rejection at the significant resistance. You could see right here, where we had difficulty breaking above it, right? Well, look at where we just pumped to. Boom, right there. We got above it briefly. We couldn't even hold a 4-hour candle above it, and we got rejected back down again. And you could see that on CMEs. We're looking at a much cleaner support right here, but that level is still, if we were to fall down today, that's still around the $11,485 level. Wicking below that would once again bring us into the 11.3, 11.4. So that is why I still have my sort of target for a potential long at the $11,300, $11,400 level. Now, obviously, if we can't hold above that level, we are going to fall to fill the level of 10,500, which is still bullish. It's still bullish, guys. Bitcoin can take like a 20%, 30% drop from here and still be bullish. We've been on a massive trend. And the one thing I want to point out is pointing out basically what Grayscale is saying about having, which I'm going to get to in a second. They're saying we could be starting a massive bull run. But, you know, one of the things I look at is just keeping it clean, keeping it simple. Sometimes you can overcomplicate these charts by throwing all these different indicators all over the place. Look, this is the 21 exponential weekly moving average, okay? This average, in my opinion, has been an amazing indicator of whether or not Bitcoin is in a bull run or in a bear market. You could see clearly, starting back here, once Bitcoin gets above this, we generally tend to stay in a bull market. In fact, we touched it right here back in April of 2011 before bouncing off of it all the way up to the first Bitcoin all-time high of $30. Can you imagine people at $30 and then it crashed from $30 down to $2 and people were like, that's it, it's a scam, it's over. Well, we know that this is what Bitcoin does, right? And you could see, look, as soon as it fell below it, boom, we instantly fell down. History repeats itself. We go above it, you know, and then we're in a bull market. We start to fall below it. Multiple year bear market. And then you can see right here in 2016, we start to get above it again. We touch it. We start building up momentum. And look, every subsequent touch, look right here, right? Bounce off right here, bounce off right here, bounce off, okay? I realize I had other things here on the chart I wanted to show you, but essentially moving up to where we are today, we are still well above that level. So even if Bitcoin was to have a red candle this month, we were to come down and retest all the way back to the $9,600 level, closing the CME futures gap for all you CME futures gappers out there that love the gaps. Still bullish, still the trend is your friend. We're still above it. And you can see we did have a nice bounce here when we tried to fall below it back in July. So that is what I'm thinking. Potentially we could have a fake out to the downside. I do think we could touch some of those lower levels. I will be looking to have a long in at that position. So obviously if you are looking to trade, my recommended exchange is Bybit for Bitcoin leverage. I don't recommend using leverage if you're a beginner. It is way too risky. I personally use Bybit for Bitcoin. I don't trade altcoins on leverage. They're really extremely volatile and I don't need that kind of stress in my life. But if you are interested, I do have a tutorial popping above and links below. Obviously, if you guys do use them, you are helping to support the channel. Thank you so much for that. However, I do want to talk about why Grayscale considers that the current Bitcoin market structure looks very much like the 2016 setup that I just showed you before the massive rally in 2017. Now, they actually had a note that they sent out to investors, and it started off with a quote from Bill Miller, and what it said was this quote: "It's an insurance policy in case inflation comes back again, as it did in the 1970s, referring to Bitcoin. He says, "I would say that if that's a sensible thing to do, then I would certainly have at least 1% to 2% of my total assets in Bitcoin. That makes great sense here." In addition to it, the report also goes on to talk about the stock to flow model, which we do know that Plan B has mentioned thinks that Bitcoin could go to $288,000 per Bitcoin this cycle. In fact, we just had the third red dot, currently at around $11,850 above the second red dot. And well, I don't have to tell you what happens. You can see that usually the first couple red dots, they come in slower, and then we do gain that momentum. And finally, we get into that orange territory and blast off, right? Now, I just want to point out one thing that Dave the Wave pointed out, and keep in mind, Dave the Wave did call that massive sell-off from the $6,000s to the $3,000 level. So shout out to Dave for sure. But I do want to point out the fact that he sort of mentions that, you know, as these cycles sort of get broader and they widen over time, that maybe we're kind of jumping the gun on this $100,000 Bitcoin. He actually, interestingly enough, also uses the MACD down here, and drawing these trend lines, you can see that he actually puts it getting at around the $100,000 level, maybe a little bit later than we thought. In fact, it might not be until late 2022, early 2023 that we get to the $100,000 Bitcoin level. Now, I know everybody wants us to get there tomorrow. Trust me, I want $100,000 Bitcoin just as much as anybody else. But, the reality is, as each of one of these cycles continue, you could see they do get a little bit longer each time, right? Because keep in mind, going from $1 to $10 is a lot easier than going from $10 to $100, $100, $1,000, $1,000, $100 or $10,000 to $100,000, right? So you get what I'm trying to say, guys. It takes a lot more money, a lot more momentum, a lot more market cap, right? But hey, if the Fed keeps printing, one of the things I wanted to point out is you're seeing cryptocurrencies and Tether specifically being one of the things that China is using to circumvent their sanctions, right? China obviously has these ridiculous policies, and you can see that over 44% of crypto transactions in East Asia alone are basically being used with these stable coins and stuff like that. And they say it appears that users in many regions are using the stable coins to access the US dollar for cross-border payroll. So is this good for cryptocurrency as a whole? Well, I'm not sure that it specifically does increase the demand for Bitcoin necessarily, but it definitely does increase the demand for cryptocurrencies. It increases exposure to cryptocurrencies, which usually, once going down that rabbit hole, does increase exposure to cryptos like Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Now, I want to talk about some big news that we have from a project that I've talked about on the channel before, and that is the fact that we have Vid. One of the things basically I want to talk about is social media. Now, some people think that, by the way, Vid is introducing staking, right? So some people think that social media is not good for blockchain because it's slow. There are pros and cons to this, okay? You can see right here, let me just play this as it's playing right now. So basically they have staking coming out, and although it's not yield farming, this is going to be good because also you can earn Vid by using the app, which is out right now, which you can actually use, or you can actually stake it. So if you're interested, I'll get into that in a bit. But the thing is when it comes to that decentralized nature, taking out the middleman, giving the actual power back to the creators, then yes, I do actually think that decentralized media is a good thing. Now, look, one of the things that they pointed out in this is they are doing the staking, and big news, they're going to have a mainnet. So this is massive, guys. So they are not going to be using Ethereum. They are going to have their own mainnet. Now, why are they doing this? Well, look at this. This gets back to what is a big common problem, right? You've been using MetaMask. You've been spending $8 to $10 in gas fees just to, try to transfer swaps over on Uniswap. Well, gas fees are too high. Obviously, there's a scalability issue with Ethereum. Yes, 2.0 is coming, but the question is when. So this is why they are doing this. This is huge news for Vid. And I think it ties in a lot with the whole, is social media good for blockchain? Well, I think if it takes a bit of a hybrid approach, then I think that is the sweet spot. And you can actually see today that Vid is up 63% on the news. It's at 50 cents right now at the time I'm making this video. So obviously people are getting excited about staking it. Now, I want to talk about another project that I finally just got access to, and that is Hyprr. Now, Hyprr is the rebrand of Howdo. Now, if you guys have been following my channel for a while, some of you are very new. I had the opportunity to speak with the CEO, David Brierley, literally back in June of 2018. So this was over 2 years ago, actually. Now, I had heard some people say, oh, what's going on with these guys? Is it an exit scam? Is it, or whatever? No, it's not, guys. In fact, 2 years later, they've actually been working extremely hard behind the scenes. And finally, obviously they were called Howdo. They rebranded, and they did, in fact, give me access to the platform. So you can see right here, I've actually logged in. I've created my own account. Right here, you can go over to the Discover tab. And the cool thing is they have short content. They have long content. So basically, they are rolling out several phases. They're currently in phase 2. I'm going to get into what that means in just a bit. But this is it from my perspective. But let me just give you a quick tour as if you were to sign in, brand new, and show you basically what you could do over here with the video. So basically, you can see right here, you'd go over to sign in. You'd sign in right here, and then boom, you're essentially at the same page that I showed you before. Up here is the search bar. So this is David, by the way. He's searching for me to show you guys what it would be like to use it. And yeah, here you go. Here's my videos. They play instantly when you highlight over them. And actually, it works quicker than even YouTube for some of the features, for example. Obviously, he's going to start playing the video. But look at how fast you can actually change the speeds. Hello guys, Kate up here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome day today. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies up for the most part today. We actually have Bitcoin somewhat outpacing Ethereum. Zombie, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're... Obviously, they have the rewind, the fast forward buttons as well. So, but you can see how quick the integration is. And basically, this search is very similar almost to what the Instagram sort of layout looks like, kind of, right? Right here, you see Didi. If you guys don't know Didi, he was the guy that basically sold everything. Him and his family, they sold everything that they had, and basically what was I gonna say? They sold everything that they had for Bitcoin, and I think he did quite well on that sale. But basically, and this is from, by the way, this is from the pitch deck. You can just find this over there on their, if you guys saw their earlier websites. And basically, the cool thing about what they're doing is they're looking to sort of combine all of the different models together. Because the problem is like right now everything is fragmented, right? Like, I do really well on YouTube, but then there's also Twitter, there's also Instagram, there's also TikTok. So everyone goes to all these different platforms for all of their different things. But what's really cool about what these guys are doing is they're integrating everything together, sort of combining it into one model. So you have long videos, you have short videos, right? So you have that short content, like stuff you'd see on Instagram, TikTok, and then you have the long content, like full-length videos you'd have on YouTube. So it's basically combining everything. The other thing that's awesome is if you are a content creator, and this is something that I like, is like, for example, when I'm using YouTube, YouTube takes a very big cut from my revenue. Like, that's why I don't even really do, well, number one, I don't do live streams because they just keep shadow banning them and then they take your channel down. But for example, say you donate $5. YouTube takes almost half of that for the content creators. So they kind of break it down here. You know, if you were to be using this, and this, get paid to post on Instagram, you have to build your audience on Facebook, YouTube ad revenue estimated $9K per month. Maybe you're making $15K per month. But over on the Hyprr model, essentially you're getting like the full share, the audience content revenue, and obviously audience tips are 100%. So if you guys want to tip, me, for example, or one of your other favorite content creators, it's a 100% tip. They don't take any cut. Now you're probably wondering, how do they make money off of that? Well, they actually do discuss the fact, they take 5% on paywalls and 30% share of ad revenue. But the other thing too is that the actual token itself for the ecosystem is going to be used by advertisers. Like, they can buy different packages, they can buy CPM, CPC, CPA, and they're going to have to pay on card with a monthly or whatever invoice that is settled through the UDO token. So the token is actually necessary for the ecosystem. By the way, this is from an AMA that came out from them the other day. I will drop this down here if you guys are interested. Lots of content in here. There was another part that I had highlighted up here. They were talking about also what happens if the system gets, hacked or something. Basically, they're going to have 100 super nodes with multiple 100 economic nodes. So if somebody did try to actually hack the network, first of all, they'd have to hack all of it, which would be ridiculous. Also, they have block creation in less than 2 seconds, so you'd have to be very fast. Also, single users, there's no record of the wallets because they are private, so they don't even have access. So UDO, or Hyprr can't come in, and essentially come in and steal your money. So that is the beauty of the blockchain, guys. And, they do have some big people up recently. You have Demi Bagby. She's got 12 million followers over on TikTok. I guess she does like fitness, sports, dancing type stuff. I mean, she's recently joined. You also have Jack Vale Films. He's got 1.56 million subscribers. He's also joined over at Hyprr. Got to get used to saying Hyprr. They did do the rebrand. It is Hyprr now. And, some of the things that also are noteworthy for these guys is you have IBM. MSP team saying social media and blockchain feels like a perfect pairing, and we're glad to be supporting Hyprr in their launch with analytics, big data, and cloud solutions. And this is officially from them. This is a legitimate announcement. You can see right here. They say that they signed with them alongside a range of established technology company and key starts and influencers across a range of interests. The platform will help them to take their content and messaging to new audiences with better coordination across content types as well. And there was also this mention between these guys and Huawei. And yeah, they're like the second largest cell phone manufacturer in the world. So yeah, this is pretty crazy. I mean, obviously these guys are bigger in Asia, but this is definitely a legitimate partnership. You can see Mr. Christoph, he was even pretty excited about it when it came out. He said, these guys partnering with Huawei is probably one of the biggest things I've ever seen in a blockchain-based social media platform accomplishment recently. By the way, shout out to Mr. Christoph on the WAM protocol call that he made the other day. That was really good. He got that before the Palm Beach Confidential came out. But yeah, anyway, getting back to, basically what's going on with Hyprr, you can see that they do have multiple phases, and they are currently in phase 2, which is where they're allowing, YouTubers, creators to come in, which is why I just got access, because I am part of phase 2. So that's how come I was able to show you guys what's going on. Then they're going to move to limited users, phase 3. This is like friends and family. And then they're going to do a soft launch, which is open access to the wider community, including friends and family as well. But yeah, and then basically it's all systems go where they're going to do that main launch. But, currently they do have this right now. You can check this out. Basically, I'm just showing you guys because I just want to show you. Look, Altcoin Daily, they posted on here a few hours ago. It's mostly just crypto stuff, Ivan, a few other things. I think BitBoy posts on here, CEO of Facts as well. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's not open to the public yet, so you don't have all the things available. But, for example, this, like my channel, you saw David show it, but right here, you click on this and then, basically you have accounts, and then you can create channels. I don't know how many you can create. Maybe you can create unlimited channels. But yeah, so that's basically a look at that. So let me know what you guys think about that. Are you going to sign up? Are you going to check out Hyprr? Let me know what you guys think about that. But I did want to bring you guys an update. It's been 2 years since we did the initial interview, so it is nice to finally see this project coming to fruition. And that is it for me today, guys. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. Like I said, Bitcoin could potentially retest some of those lower levels, but we will keep our eyes on it. So thanks again. You guys rock. Hope you enjoy the content. My name is K-Dub. This is CryptoZombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.